Hi, good day all. Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, good day.
How you doing?
I welcome you all to, yeah, good morning, good day, good day. Good morning, everyone. Welcome you all to today's webinar on the topic.
Good morning.
Shamu, This time, all you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Good morning.
All right, good morning.
Yeah.
I welcome you all to today's webinar on the
His,
topic leadership committee and governance. We'll be having a seasoned facilitator from one of our seasoned facilitators from Nigeria, Emmanuel, will be speaking on the topic and telling us of importance of the key topic we're to talk about today. Is specialized in governance and is also a certified corporate governance person. I introduce you to the person of Emmanuel. Emmanuel, please welcome you to the floor.
Thank you, Gift. Good morning to everyone. Nice to have you all here. I will have loved a situation where I can see our faces, or probably we'll do that before the end of the section. So once again, I welcome each and every one of us. I know we are experts and very experienced professionals in our various fields. So the topic we're going to look at will not be strange to us in any form. So this morning, we'll look at leadership commitment and governance, leadership commitment and governance. And here we'll look at leadership commitment, we'll look at elements of leadership commitment, we'll look at governance, then we'll look at elements of governance, we'll look at importance of leadership commitment in governance, and we'll look at the roles of leadership in governance. I think that's probably where we'll end it based on our slides, but if we have enough time, we may look at the importance of leadership in government. And please, if we have questions, I would like us to note down our questions. We'll take our questions at the end of the season, or the session rather, sorry. All right, let me take us straight away into the definition of leadership commitment. However, before I speak on leadership commitment, what is leadership? Which I believe we all know. What is leadership? Leadership generally talks about the ability to inspire. Leadership talks about the ability to inspire, to influence, and guide others towards a common goal or a vision. So when you talk about leadership, you're talking about the ability to inspire. You must inspire confidence. You must inspire trust. You must inspire commitment in your followers or in others. And also be able to influence their attitude, their culture, and direct their energy, guide their focus towards a common goal or a vision. And this generally involves a lot of qualities and skills which as leaders we are expected to possess. And we have such visions such qualities include a vision, communication, we talk about integrity, empathy, decisiveness, resilience, and others. So as effective leaders as we are, or as we are aspiring to grow into, we must have a clear sense of direction, and we must develop the capacity to motivate and empower our team members to achieve success. And we must also know that leadership can take various forms and styles depending on the situation and the circumstances and the individuals involved. Nevertheless, we must not forget that at the core of it, it must revolve around fostering collaboration, fostering growth, and achieving results. So based on this general theme, we now look at what is the impact of leadership commitment in governance. Because for any organization to succeed, leadership and governance are key, and these two elements on daily basis shapes the direction of organizations. So let's look at what we have under leadership commitment. So leadership commitment refers to the dedication, very key, dedication, responsibility, and consistency demonstrated by leaders in an organization towards achieving goals, fostering positive cultural values, and driving organizational success. So when we talk about leadership commitment, we talk about the dedication that leaders possess and demonstrate, the responsibility they carry, the consistency in an organization towards achieving goals. And while you are doing this, you are fostering cultural values, positive cultural values, because the cultural values are the elements that will drive the success of your organizational strategy or goals. And this is what ultimately culminates at the organizational success. So this involves actively embracing the vision, the mission, and the values of the organization. So and leadership commitments talks about leading by example through actions, decisions, behaviors that align with these principles. What are the principles? The principles of dedication, responsibility, and consistency. So the dedication you show yesterday or yesteryears must be the same you are showing today. Otherwise, the commitment is not there. The leadership qualities that the followers are expected to see will be failing. So this is very key. If as leaders, we must lead effective corporate governance in our various organizations. All right, we look at our leadership commitment, the elements of leadership commitments, elements of leadership commitment. And one of these is that as leaders, we must ensure that a clear-cut vision is set. Leadership commitment entails setting clear vision. Leaders are expected to articulate a compelling vision. Please underline that word, compelling. The vision must be compelling. The vision must stir confidence in the people. The vision must be clear, must look achievable, no matter how big it is. It must be compelling. It must engender confidence in people. It must compel people to work towards it. Just merely looking at the vision should arouse interest in you to work towards it. And this is a leadership commitment characteristic. And number two is that leading by example. As leaders, we're expected to demonstrate behaviors and values that we expect to see from others. And this means serving as role models for the rest of the organization. So leadership commitment entails leading by example. The same qualities, the same attitude, the same commitment, the same cultural values we want to see in others are the ones that we too must exemplify, we must demonstrate these behaviors ourselves. And while this is there, others are compelled to go in that direction because they can see that we are not just speaking leadership by works, but we are demonstrating our own commitment to this leadership. And number 3, we talk about providing support and resources. As leaders, we are expected to allocate resources, provide guidance, and offer support to ensure that our teams have what they need to succeed. We don't just put our teams to task and abandon them. Hey, anyhow, you can get it done, no, get it done. No, that's not it. There must be efficient and effective allocation of resources. We must provide guidance. That is the core of leadership. We are there while they're doing it. We're showing them the moral support. We are showing them the professional support and guidance. We are directing them, motivating them all along. And at the end, you just be amazed the kind of success that will be recorded. Also, as leaders, leadership community talks about creating positive culture. So leaders foster an environment of trust, an environment of respect, environment of collaboration and innovation, where individuals feel valued and motivated to contribute their best. This is an organization where co-jointed, every individual, every person, every professional from different background, from different exposure, from different sphere of life come together to run towards achieving a common goal. And for us to achieve this, we must speak the same voice. We must act in a certain manner that defines our cause and that leads to our target or desired goal. So as leaders, we are expected to create these positive cultures. We must lead the cultures. We lead the cultures so that people can follow. And also we must ensure there is effective communication. Effective communication is key in leadership. Effective communication is very, very key. So leaders are expected to communicate openly, transparently with their team, sharing information, providing feedback, and actively listening to their concerns. This is leadership commitment. Communication should be unambiguous, to be clear, transparent, direct. All right, moving to the next slide, still talking about leadership commitment. Leadership commitment also talks about leaders holding themselves and others accountable. Everybody is accountable for their actions, for their performances, and accountable to the adherence to organizational values and goals. So there is a sense of responsibility and accountability in everybody. So this starts from the leaders. Leadership commitment says that you must be accountable for your actions and inactions. As leaders, we are not expected to shift blames to our team members. You give them the glory and you take the blame. That is leadership. When you do that, you earn their respect, you earn their trust. And they want to be sure that you are not doing anything, or they are not doing anything that will affect your performance and their performance at the end of the day. Next to that, we talk about adapting to change. As leaders, we remain agile. Leaders are expected to remain agile and adaptable in the face of challenges and change, guiding the organization through periods of uncertainty with resilience and confidence. These are going to come in organizational life cycle, in business life cycle. There are going to be periods of uncertainty, There are going to be periods of challenges. There are going to be periods of growth. There are going to be periods of decline. There are going to be periods where you need to re-strategize, when you need to revamp your processes, when you need to either rebrand and do all that as the market is transforming. You continue to transform. So leaders must be at the forefront of this. So leadership commitment talks about being agile, being adaptable in the face of these challenges. And also, lastly, we talk about investment in development. Effective leaders, leadership commitment talks about investing in development. One thing you can do to make your team effective is to continuously develop them. When you invest in development and growth of your team, you are indirectly advancing the cause of your own success. So give them the opportunity to learn, skill building, and career advancement. And when this is there, you discover that the lead or the followers are committed to you also, or to your organization. So look at the definition and concept of governance. Now remember that for leadership, I may mention that leadership is the ability to inspire, to influence, and guide towards a certain goal. But when it comes to governance, governance refers to systems, processes, practices by which organizations and institutions are directed. So while leadership inspire and guide, influence, our actions, our values, our attitudes towards a certain goal, governance on its own talks about the system that run the organization, the processes, the practices by which our organization or institutions are directed, controlled, or managed to achieve these same objectives that we inspire people to achieve. So we have the systems running, we have the processes in place, we have our procedures and everything. Then for people to take ownership of the systems, of these processes and practices, leaders inspire them, because in most of the situations you discover that these processes or systems are at variance with what individuals love to do. But now the systems, the processes, the procedures, the practices now constrict you to act in certain direction. And this is governance. So it compasses structures. We talked about policies, decision-making frameworks that guide the action and behaviors of individuals in an organization. Or maybe you want to look at the broader context of the society. So the concept of governance extends beyond the realm of corporate governance to encompass various sectors, such as economy, or such as the government, non-profit organizations, international bodies, and civil. So governance is at every sphere of the society, is at every system or every sector. And we must know that effective or efficient organization runs on effective governance, corporate governance. If the governance structure is weak, the organization or the institution is heading for a doom. So as leaders, as we inspire, as we tend to guide, to encourage people to do what is right, we must ensure that the systems, the structures we put in place are foolproof. The policies are constantly or continuously reviewed and revised to ensure that it speaks to the strategic goal of the organization. So when we're able to marry leadership and governance together, I tell you, the company or the organization is on the fly. All right, let's look at the elements, key elements of governance. Key elements of governance. We have direction and oversight. Governance involves setting the organization's strategic direction, goals, and objectives, as well as providing oversight to ensure that activities are aligned with the organization's mission and values. Strategic goals, strategic objectives, strategic directions must align with the organization's mission and the values. The values are key. Remember, there's a saying that culture is strategy for lunch. So if our cultural values are not aligning with our strategic goals and objectives, then we're going nowhere. Also, governance talks about decision-making process. So governance establishes the mechanism and processes for decision-making. This includes how decisions are made, who is responsible for making them, and how they are implemented and monitored. And this is where the control functions of governance comes in. Risk management, internal audit, compliance, and the rest. They must be monitored. Otherwise, decisions made yesterday may not fit into the realities of today. Or when they fit into the realities of today, the process owners may not do what they are supposed to do. So while the decision-making process is excellent, the right decisions are made, then how are they implemented? And how are they monitored? Another element of governance talks about accountability and transparency. The governance ensures that individuals and entities within the organizations are accountable for their actions and decisions. It also promotes transparency by providing stakeholders with access to information about organizations' operation performance and decision-making processes. And when we started, I mentioned that information is key, communication is key. Communication is key. The things we are doing, the success we are recording, and every other thing must be effectively communicated. And the information will be accessible. It must be unambiguous. And there must be a system that enforces accountability and responsibility. And when these two are in, every other individual wants to do everything in line with the strategy, in line with the common vision and goal, because they know that they shall be held accountable for their actions and inactions, including decisions. Another key element we have here is ethical conduct and integrity. Governance promotes ethical conduct and integrity by establishing codes of conduct, ethical guidelines, principles of behavior that guides actions within the organization. Organizations are not free for all. There must be code of conduct. This is how you do this. This is how you behave. This is how you act. This is how information is shared. This is how reports are presented. This is the manner in which this is addressed. And all this must be codified. So we must have a code of conduct, ethical guidelines, what is right, and what is wrong. Even when no one is looking at me, what are the right things to do? These are ethical guidelines we must enforce in organization, and we must have our principles of behavior. Principles of behavior. What informs this decision? What informs this? We must have all this in place. I'm running with our time. Another element, we must have this risk management and compliance. Governance involves identifying, assessing, and managing risk to the organization, as well as ensuring compliance with laws, regulations, and internal policies and procedures. So when we talk about governance, there must be an aspect of the organization, a very working aspect of the organization that is involved in identifying, assessing, and managing risk. Because every decision of the organization, of the business entity, has risk elements. So this risk must be identified, must be assessed. And then we now have to decide, are these risk things we can absorb? Are they the ones we want to share through insurance? Or do we want to ship them out completely, either by outsourcing, or we just want to avoid them completely? And then we must have a system that manages risk. Also, system that ensure compliance with laws and regulations and internal policies and procedures. Also, we're talking about stakeholder engagement. Stakeholder engagement. Governance recognizes the importance of engaging with stakeholders, which includes the shareholders, the employees, customers, suppliers, the community, and other relevant parties, the government agencies, and the rest, to understand their interests and concerns and to inform decision-making. These are key bodies that will influence the success or failure of any organization. The shareholders, the employees, they are critical elements. The customers, the suppliers, the communities. We must ensure we listen to them. We share our vision with them so that they can key in and run with the vision of the organization. These are elements of governance. Also, we talk about performing, monitoring, and evaluation. I mentioned this one earlier. Governance includes mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating the organization performance against established goals and objectives. Periodic audit that brings up the variance between the budgeted position or targeted position, the actual position, and we must be able to identify the pitfalls and make adjustments as we are running with the vision of the organization. Also, we talk about adaptability and responsiveness. Governance involves being adaptable, and responsive to changes in the external environment. So yes, technological advancement, we see the way technology is moving very fast. So organizations must be moving at the speed of technology. Otherwise, we're left behind. The market trends, regulatory development, and societal expectations. These are key. These are key. And you know, when I look at adaptability and responsiveness, I still remember the case of Nokia. And other mobile phone manufacturers. They were doing excellently well, have their own niche of the market. But they were not responsive enough to technological advancements, market trends, and the societal expectation. And before they knew what was happening, they lost their share of the market. So we have to be very, very careful of this, and as leaders, ensure that we keep evolving in the elements of governance. And in anyone we are not doing well, let's see how we can rejig our processes and bring them up. Okay, from here we'll look at the importance of leadership in governance, importance of leadership commitment in governance, importance of leadership commitment in governance. One, setting the tone from the top. In governance, leaders set the tone for the entire organization. It's leaders that enforce what the organization stands for, the way the organization is to be seen, the beliefs of the organization. Those tones are set from the top. When leaders demonstrate commitment to ethical behavior, transparency, and accountability, it sends a clear message, a clear-cut message throughout the organization that these values are not negotiable. Building trust and credibility. Leadership commitment fosters trust among stakeholders, including employees, shareholders, customers, and the broader community. So when leaders consistently act with integrity and demonstrate a genuine commitment to organization missions and values, stakeholders are more likely to trust their decisions and actions. So leadership commitment fosters trust amongst stakeholders in their attitude, in communication, in the kind of values they demonstrate themselves. So this is key in having leaders that are committed to governance. Also, we talk about ensuring compliance and risk management, strong leadership commitment to governance. Strong, I put that word strong. Leadership commitment to governance ensures that the organization adheres to legal and regulatory requirements, as well as internal policies and procedures. Leaders who prioritize compliance and risk management help mitigate the potential for legal and financial liabilities. Also, they safeguard the organizational reputation and ensure long-term sustainability of the organization. Sustainability is key, is central to governance. And this is demonstrated when there is a system that ensures there is compliance, ensures there is risk management process in place. All right, we'll talk about sustaining long-term success. Leadership commitment to governance is essential for sustaining long-term organizational success and resilience. So by prioritizing ethical conduct, strategic planning, and responsible decision-making, leaders can steer the organization through challenges and changes while preserving its reputation, value, and impact over time. Now, I've mentioned earlier on that there are going to be periods where there are going to be challenges, where there are going to be difficulties, when there are going to be storms. In any way, the company will evolve, and over time, decisions or processes are going to be jettisoned or strengthened. And in all this, there could be turbulence here and there. There could be regulatory changes, there could be government changes that affect the business, and the business has to transform. So the leadership commitment to governance at this time will ensure the resilience to endure this time and come out strong and better. And this is achieved by prioritizing ethical conduct, strategic planning, and responsible decision making, which will ensure the success over time. All right. Driving performance and innovation. Leadership commitment encourages a culture of excellence, innovation, and continuous improvement. So when leaders are committed to fostering a positive work environment, investing in their employees' development, and empowering teams to take calculated risk, this drive performance, spur innovation, and enhance the organization's competitive advantage. And this is what gives us as business leaders or as organization, what gives us edge outside there. Because knowledge is not repository in any individual. So by developing our followers, we help them to develop their intuitive abilities so they can spur innovation at any point in time. Also, we talk about promoting accountability and responsibility. Leaders who are committed to governance hold themselves and others accountable for their actions and decisions. So by promoting a culture of accountability and responsibility, leaders help ensure that individuals at all levels of the organization understand their roles and obligations and adhere to high standard of conduct. Everybody understand their own role. As a driver, you understand your role. As the CEO, you understand your role. As the chairman, you understand your role. As the security man behind the doors, you understand what your responsibilities are. And all these are discharged to a high standard of conduct. Also, we talk about managing stakeholders' expectations. Effective leadership commitment helps to manage stakeholders' expectations by aligning organizational goals and priorities with the needs and interests of stakeholders. Leaders who engage with stakeholders, listen to their concerns, and communicate transparently about the organization's performance and decision-making can build stronger relationships and enhance stakeholder confidence and support. Now, when you constantly engage with the stakeholders, you align the organizational goals and priorities with the interest and the goals of your stakeholders. You know, you build their confidence in your brand. You build their confidence in your ability. You win their support. You gain their trust over time. So these are key importance of leadership commitment in governance. From here, we'll look at the roles. Let's look at the roles of leadership in governance. The roles of leadership in governance. One, okay, I say here that the role of leadership in governance is pivotal. It's essential, it's key. As leaders are responsible for setting the tone, direction, and culture for an organization's governance framework. So some of the key aspects of leadership role as stated here. One is setting governance framework. Leaders play a central role in establishing governance framework within organization. They define the structures, they define the policies and processes that govern decision making. I've spoken about this earlier on. And they create the code of conduct, establishing board structures, defining roles and responsibilities, and putting controls in place. Putting controls in place that guides every activity and every decision that is made in the organization. Also, leaders are expected to articulate the vision and values You don't just expect or believe that everybody understand what is expected. No. You are expected to articulate the organization's vision, the mission, and the values which serve as guiding principle for governance. So it is expected of leaders to provide a foundation, for ethical behavior, transparency, and accountability in the organization. And next to this is promoting ethical conduct. We've mentioned this one earlier on, so I'll just gloss through. We talk about fostering accountability. We've mentioned this one also. So this involves establishing mechanism for monitoring performance, evaluating outcomes, and holding individuals and teams accountable for their actions and decisions. So leaders must also be willing, to accept accountability for the organization's overall performance. It is not for of leaders to shift blame. It is for leaders to accept the failure or the success, taking the blame and the bullet where there are failures, and giving the success to the team when success is achieved. This drives accountability. Also, as leaders, we must drive risk management, we must drive compliance. Leaders must be seen to comply with every rule and regulation, internal policies, and procedures of the organization. When we do this as leaders, others are bound to follow. All right, again, we talk about building stakeholders' trust. Mentioned this one earlier on, providing a continuous learning and driving it. But I can see there's a repetition here. So the leadership is responsible for driving continuous improvement in governance practices. This involves regularly reviewing and updating the governance framework to adapt to changing circumstances. Market is changing, there are emerging risks, and the best practices are evolving every day. Leaders must be on top, constantly scanning the environment, scanning the market. What are the emerging risks? What circumstance or what situation is changing? Is the taste changing? Is the market expectation changing? Is the market demography, is it changing? And all this. So leaders must ensure there is continuous improvement in processes, continuous improvement in products, continuous improvement in procedures, in approach, governance, approach to market segmentation, approach to penetration strategies, approach to retention strategies, and all. This is very, very, very key if we must achieve success as leaders. All right. Conclusion, so we can have next 10 to 15 minutes to answer questions if there is any. So overall, leadership plays a crucial role in governance. Because if we have weak leadership, weak leaders cannot enforce governance. And from what we have seen, we've seen that governance talk about systems, processes, procedures, rules, laws. that guides organization. So if leaders are weak, if we have ineffective leaders, such leaders cannot drive governance in the organization. So leadership plays a crucial role in governance by establishing the framework, the culture, and the practices that guides ethical behaviors, accountability, and risk management within the organization. So effective leaders must ensure they foster trust, transparency, and integrity. These are essential components of a successful governance. And I put it across to each and every one of us. That if we can go back to address and implement these few strategies we've mentioned, we position ourselves as leaders in our various industries and organizations, then we can be sure that we will emerge as leaders who are not only effective but efficient, who's driving the required changes in our various organizations. Thank you, everyone. And let me see if we have questions. And if there are no questions.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. My name is John. I'm sorry I joined a bit late.
Okay.
I would actually like you to, introduce yourself again to us.
Okay.
Then two, you mentioned something like, you said, you said culture eats strategy for a snack or something like that. Now, we look at it this way, governance comes in different way as required by, ethics or standard for us to improve the system. In most of the ISO standard I've implemented, leadership commitment is key. Now, and we, with governance, we have corporate governance, we have IT governance, we have project governance, we have contract governance, among others. I'm looking at, if you say it's not strategy, and you talked about willingness and commitment of leaders, in what way can one get leaders to be committed? Giving an example of small businesses where I work, in the small business, the leader, we see the leader as the MD, the HOD is there, the HOD's decisions can actually be subsumed in one way or the other. You can override their decisions and all the rest. In what way can we get the leader, like the MD of such organization, committed to governance? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. John. Once again, I am Emmanuel Olalekan Fadimine. I work with Oak Pensions. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer of Oak Pensions Limited, and we're in Lagos, Nigeria. So I think that's just a brief about me. You can read more about me if you check my LinkedIn profile, which I have displayed currently. So going back to your question, that how can we get leaders to be committed? How can we get leaders to be committed? And this is where culture comes in. Now, as a business owner, like we saw here, the leaders are expected to define the tone. You set the tone. And once you set the tone, as the core leader, either as the entrepreneur, as a founder, as the owner, and you live by those standards, by those ethics, It sends a message across that this is not acceptable. And when there is violation, you must ensure that there is repercussion. When there is a violation and there is no repercussion, the message you are indirectly sending to others is that this is acceptable. This can be condoned. So that is one. Speaking from the perspective of you being the owner or you being the overall boss, either the CEO or the managing director or the chairman, so you can drill this down. But in an environment where you find yourself as probably an employee, head of department, or just an employee, and you have the leaders there who are expected to take decisions, who are expected to act in certain direction, and they are not. What do you do? Personally, what I recommend for you at that point is to stand out. The company must have its values. And I tell you, those values are critically set, defined. Live by them. Set the standard. Become a role model. And I tell you, an opportunity will come one day when your voice will be heard. And at that point, you can put it down. Let your team live the life, the culture of the organization as defined by the core values. Because if you join the bandwagon, then you become one of them. So as a leader, and you also must understand that leadership is not position. Leadership is not by position. It's the life you live. It's the inspiration you give to others. It's the commitment you show to the values, to the culture of the organization. It's how you are able to inspire confidence in others that makes you a leader. It's not by position. So when you have all this, it stands out over time, and it definitely picks you as a leader. That's the beauty of it. If you live these cultures, these values, you demonstrate all these values, you're gonna shine. And a day comes, they speak for you and they find you out of the crowd. So I know as an employee, you do not have a voice. It may be difficult to drive. It may not be easy to push. But in your own little sphere, stand out. And I bet you people are looking at you. Some people are taking record. They are taking notes. I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. John.
Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello?
Hello, Emmanuel. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Muhammad Azrak. I'm speaking from Sudan.
Okay, from Sudan. Ahmed, thank you.
Okay. Actually, what it is mentioned here, in brief, the elements of governance and the importance and the leader and the role of leadership.
Yes.
This it is a very nice framework. But when we look to some situation, especially in Sudan and other fragile areas, we see the leadership here. It may be harmed by many factors. My suggestion is that we need to add another section or chapter for this concerning what it is going to affect this nice picture. What you mentioned, okay?
Yeah.
This is especially we talk about the risk management, but sometimes some risks it is out of our expectation, and it is out of our own management. You mention it in a risk and something like that. But the leadership, it is maybe who is the leader in a area maybe he can be leader in B area because the environment, it is a change from area to area, and for especially from company to company, from sector to sector, and uh, from place to place. But I think the governance and corporate governance, or whatever that governance, it is highly affected by environment, rather than we sticking to the elements. This is all elements of governance and the role, and this is a theoretical part. When we come to the practice, actually we facing a very complicated factors that it need, I can't say it need special leaders that can change the all things, and sometimes we need to overcome some rules and regulation in order to
Yeah.
stick to the going concern of that entity.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah, thank you. I remember I mentioned something. I'll speak to one or two things about your concern, but let me start from where you stopped. I mentioned about evolution. Leaders must consistently evolve because the organization is evolving, the economy is evolving, the society is evolving. So governance practices cannot be static.
Yeah.
So you must look at what is happening at the moment,
yeah,
and be able to adapt. That's why we talk about adaptability. You must be able to adapt.
Adaptability and responsiveness.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very key. Because the economy is going to be evolving, and now it is evolving so rapidly. So rapidly, the world is becoming a global, it's not even becoming, it's already a global village. I'm in Nigeria speaking to you from Sudan. Technological advancement. So organizations must key into this evolution. You can't relax, you can't stay back. Otherwise, you're caught napping. And that was why I gave the example of Nokia in those days.
Yeah.
Nokia was far ahead of all these other mobile gadgets that we're having today. But where are they? Responsiveness and adaptability is very, very key. Also, you talk about risk management. Now, and just as you said, risk management framework differ from one, or let me say practice, not a framework, practice will differ from one organization to the other.
Yep.
Nevertheless, you must be able to constantly identify the risk, and that's why we call it risk scanning. As a risk manager, as a risk expert, you are to be the prophet of your organization. You have to see ahead. See this new government policy, how can it affect our business? Okay, what is happening in Russia? How can it affect our business? What is happening in America? How can it affect our business? And you bring out this risk. Then you analyze them. You analyze them. And after, when you analyze them, you say, okay, this one can affect us, this one cannot affect us. Okay, this one can affect us, but the impact is going to be minimal. Or this one, if it happens, the impact is going to be huge. And then you have to weigh them. You have your risk metrics already defined in-house. So you subject those emerging risk to all those risk metrics factors you have identified and defined, and you come up with your mitigants and then put them in place. Challenges are going to come, but risk management helps us to prepare and put factors in place to mitigate those impending dangers. And the third thing you mentioned that was key to me was leadership. Leadership challenge is everywhere. Either we're looking at organization, we are looking at societies, we are looking at countries and all that. Leadership challenge is always evident at every sphere. And little we can do if we are not at the hands of affairs. And that was why I was responding to John the other time, that in your own little sphere, do what you can do to stand out. Do what you can do to ensure that your own organization is insulated. Or if you're not in a situation like you mentioned, where perhaps the risk is beyond every other person, is beyond the organization, there's nothing the leaders can do about it, then you can transfer the risk. That's why we have insurance. You can go into partnership, look at organizations that have strength in those areas. But when it comes to the societal leadership, like the president of a nation, the leaders of communities and all that, in our own little sphere, we keep pushing. And let me just say this one on the side, that I will pray that God gives the leadership into our hands sometime. Then we can do what is right. But till then, in our own sphere, organizations, our societies, any little place we find ourselves to lead, just let's ensure that we imbibe these principles and we ourselves are committed. But that's one problem about human. Everybody can complain. Nobody has a solution. Once you get there, you compromise. But if you can stand and stand to defend what you believe is right, it's a matter of time. You have followers. You have people who believe in the same vision, who believe in your approach, and they will come and join you. And then one day, the light will shine on you. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Is there another question, please?
Yeah, excuse me. This is Ali from Sudan. Hello?
Okay, Ali from Sudan. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you.
I would like just to elaborate on the risk management that you mentioned just a few minutes before.
Okay.
For the leadership, there is a level of applicability of the leadership. There is some kind of leadership at the small organization, and I would like to drag the attention of my colleagues all that the leadership will not be applied by single person within the organization. For example, if you have HR issues, it has to be mentioned and managed by HR leadership, like development competencies, so and so. If there is something related to risk management, there should be a quality risk management to mitigate the risk.
Exactly.
If a leadership role needed in quality, it means that you need to have a quality person to monitor, to put standard operating procedures in use, not in place only, and to monitor the applicability of the SOPs that you have. I would like just to end up with that the leadership in the organization, it completely different from the leadership at the society or the government or the countries, because sometimes you have a risk outside your hand, which is geopolitical risks. It is out of your hand, out of your capability to mitigate the risk, out of your ability to maneuver or to act against this risk. You cannot do anything. That you can shield yourself, as you said. You insulate yourself. You can, if you can, do it. If not, then this is something not at your hand. From my vision, that our society in Africa, in general, African countries, they need to have some kind of concentration on transparency, because transparency in Africa is a key issue for us to develop our countries, and how we be sticky to code of ethics and code of conducts in order to understand how can we help our societies to achieve the goals as per se, if it is in a small organization or in a country as a whole. So I think the topic that you touch, it is very big topic, and it is affecting all kind of organization and societies and countries. And but it is not managed by single person within the organization, and it doesn't managed by a single group within the country, and at the same time it cannot be managed in a one country for the geopolitical area. So this is a picture of Africa. I'm just elaborate on this because the understanding has to be wrapped up to know what is a leadership means. It doesn't mean one man show. It means a matrix of board of directors. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to elaborate.
Thank you, Ali. That's very, very wonderful. I appreciate that. And I mentioned earlier on that leadership is not position. Leadership is not position. It's not one person. We are all leaders in our sphere of authority, in our own area of jurisdiction. Either we are the foreman, where we are the arrowman, or not. That is why I was answering John earlier on, that where you find yourself, stand out, do what is right, defend the qualities, run with the vision, with the values. It's very, very key. And another thing you mentioned, which I like to speak to a little, is the fact that leadership is not just one person. And that is why it is called an organization or institution.
Yeah.
An organization comes from organizing. You organize things. You put this one together, put them together. So in organization, there are many systems, there are many functions that are coming together to function as one. That's why you have the HR, you have the quality assurance, you have risk management, you have internal audits. No, you have the business developers, or you have the manufacturing section and all that. In the manufacturing section, you have the procurement, you have the packaging, you have all that. Everything must work together. So when an issue is spotted, you may have to refer it to another section. That is key. We must understand we have to work together. We must work together. It's a system. So we bring ourselves together. We bring ourselves together. We rub against each other. So in doing that, there could be frictions, there could be any other thing. But we must know that in an organization, we must work together effectively to achieve a common goal.
Exactly.
We must.
Yeah. Teamwork
is very, very key. Very, very key.
Yes.
Otherwise, everybody will run at various directions. At the end of the day, the organization will fail.
Yes.
But if I play my part, you play your part, everybody will all come together to play our part. Or let's just look at ourselves as a football team. You have the goalkeeper, you have the defenders, you have the midfielders, you have the attackers. Those are the ones we see. But behind the scene, you have the coach, you have the assistant coach, you have the technical advisors, you have the medical team. All these are part of the team. So we must all come together and work together to achieve a success. Does that mean there won't be friction? No, there will definitely be friction because we are all human beings. It's an organism. We live. The company lives. That's why the company has a life cycle. But I think we'll stop here. So is there any other comment or question, please? Okay, in the absence of none, can I request that we put on our cameras, let's see our faces.
You're still young. I'm old.
Not really young. Don't look at the face. Good to have you here. Good to see your face.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Speaking from Sudan too?
Yes.
Oh, great. How's everything over there?
Yeah, this is me, Ali.
Oh, wonderful.
How are you?
Very, very well. You have very, very nice smile.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a country quality head for Sanofi Pharma.
Oh,
Yes, for a couple of 27 years in Sanofi.
wow.
Yeah, I passed through all the domains in the pharma company. And finally, I left Sanofi working as a consultant quality and performance excellence, as well as quality head for a consultancy office here in Saudi Arabia. All these are in Saudi. My career was built in Saudi. I'm Sudanese by nature, by birth, and I'm graduated from Faculty of Pharmacy, Egypt, Alexandria University. I'm a pharmacist by qualification, and I'm quality head at Sanofi and lead auditor for Sanofi for 12 years, I think, in the Middle East, as a lead auditor, qualified certified auditor from Sanofi.
That's very beautiful. You have a very rich profile.
Yes, exactly. But
And maybe I should add that your profile is intimidating anyway.
yeah, but very rich white hair.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Nice having you here. Doctor, good to see your face. I think
Okay,
just the
thank you.
three of us. Yeah, just three of us putting on videos at this time. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your topic. It is good topic, but
Yeah.
it's very big. It's very big.
Yes, very, very big, very, very deep. I don't know, maybe the organizers will give us another section to go deeper. It's quite a very large topic if we must get to the bottom of it. And it's something that we need to keep reminding ourselves of the key demands of leadership and the elements of governance if we must get it, because it keeps evolving and we just have to keep improving every now and then.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gift, are you there?
Okay, thank you.
Manuel, thank you very much for the session.
You didn't let us see your face.
And to our attendees, I want to say thank you. The session is really engaging, and once again, thank you to our speaker, thank you to our attendees, and everyone who participated to make this a success. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye for now.